The afternoon sun filtered through the reinforced windows of Outpost Kepler 7, casting warm geometric patterns across the research station's common room. Sierra sat cross-legged on the floor, datapad forgotten beside her, while two small predators dozed against her sides like living bookends. Vex, the larger of the two Vacrian cubs, had his massive paw draped across Sarah's lap, his breathing deep and rhythmic. His sister Kira was curled into an impossibly tight ball against Sarah's right hip, her tail wrapped around her snout in a way that would have looked ridiculous on any creature bred for anything other than apex predation. 6 months ago, the xenobiological community would have called this scene impossible. The Vacrians were known throughout the galaxy as the universe's most efficient killers, 7 feet of muscle, claws, and bone-crushing jaw strength, with a hunting instinct so refined that most species gave their territories a wide berth. Adult Vacrians didn't sleep in groups. They didn't form bonds. They certainly didn't nap. But the cubs had discovered something their species had somehow missed for millennia: the profound joy of an afternoon nap pile. Sarah? Commander Orath's voice crackled through her cum unit, causing Kiro to twitch one ear irritably. Status report on the specimens? Sarah carefully reached for her cum, moving with the practiced stillness of someone who'd learned not to disturb sleeping predators. Currently engaged in mandatory sleep pile time, Commander. I've told you not to call them specimens. A long sigh came through the speaker. The Vacrian Conclave is requesting another update. They still don't believe our reports. Then they can come see for themselves, Sarah whispered, watching Vex's whiskers flutter as he dreamed. Though they'll have to wait until 3 o'clock. Nobody interrupts sleep pile time. The story had started 3 months earlier, when the Vacrian Conclave had reluctantly agreed to let the Human Research Station care for 2 orphaned cubs. Their mother had been killed in a territorial dispute, and Vacrian society had no framework for raising younglings. Adults simply didn't nurture. Cubs either survived in the wilderness or they didn't. But humans, as the galaxy was constantly discovering, had different ideas about what was acceptable. Sarah had been assigned as primary caretaker, a role she'd accepted with equal parts excitement and terror. The first week had been exactly what she'd expected: 2 tiny murder machines with needle-sharp teeth, aggressive feeding responses, and an instinct to attack anything that moved. The second week, something shifted. It started with exhaustion. Cubs, it turned out, have limitless energy but terrible energy management. They would tear through the habitat for hours, wrestling and pouncing and practicing their hunting crouch on anything from furniture to Sarah's feet, until they simply collapsed mid-play. The first time it happened, Vex had been stalking a maintenance drone when he'd suddenly flopped sideways, asleep before he hit the ground. Sarah had panicked, thinking something was medically wrong, until Kiro stumbled over to her brother and collapsed on top of him. On impulse, Sarah had sat down beside them. The cubs, still half asleep, had immediately gravitated toward her warmth. Within minutes, she'd had a lap full of deadly predator babies, purring like broken engines. That's when she discovered the secret. Vacrians had never learned to rest because they'd never had anyone to rest with. Now, 3 months later, sleep pile time was sacred. Kiro stretched without opening her eyes, her claws extending and retracting in a satisfied kneading motion against Sarah's leg. The cub had grown considerably since arriving at the station, her shoulders already showing the dense muscle that would one day make her a formidable hunter. But in this moment, with her face squished against Sarah's side and a small trail of drool darkening the fabric, she looked utterly harmless. Vex chose that moment to roll onto his back, exposing his spotted belly to the sunlight. His hind legs kicked gently at the air as he chased something in his dreams. Sarah smiled and carefully placed a hand on his chest, feeling the double heart rhythm that marked all Vacrian physiology. "You two are going to give your conclave elders a collective heart attack," she murmured. The door to the common room slid open with a soft hiss. Dr. Yenna, the station's xenobiologist, peeked inside and immediately froze. She'd learned the hard way that sudden movements during sleep pile time resulted in 2 very grumpy cubs. "They're doing it again," Yenna whispered, her eye stalks extending to get a better view. "Every day at 1:30, like clockwork," Sarah confirmed quietly. "Kiro actually got irritated with me yesterday when I tried to work through it. She dragged my datapad away and sat on it until I laid down. The conclave delegation arrives tomorrow," Yenna said, her voice carrying a note of concern. "They're expecting to see warriors in training, not sleepy babies." I was going to say well-adjusted younglings with healthy attachment behaviors. But yes, Yenna's translator couldn't quite capture the worried trill in her native language. The Vakrians don't understand what you've done here, Sarah. They think we're weakening their species. Sarah looked down at the cubs, at the complete trust in their relaxed postures, at the way they unconsciously pressed closer to her warmth. I haven't weakened anything. I've just shown them that being strong doesn't mean being alone. As if to punctuate her point, Vex's eyes cracked open brilliant amber, irises in a field of black. He looked up at Sarah, yawned to expose a mouth full of developing fangs, then deliberately draped his other paw across her lap to pin her in place more thoroughly. See? Sarah said, laughing softly. Try explaining to him that warriors don't take naps. Kiro's eyes opened next, and she made a small chirping sound, the cub's way of demanding attention during sleep pile time. Sira obligingly scratched behind her tufted ears, earning a purr that vibrated through her entire rib cage. What will you tell the conclave? Yenna asked. Sarah considered the question while watching dust motes dance in the afternoon light. Outside the windows, the alien landscape of Kepler-7 stretched toward a purple horizon. Somewhere out there, adult Vakrians lived solitary lives, powerful and isolated, never knowing this simple comfort. I'll tell them the truth, she finally said. That humans figured out a long time ago that the strongest packs are the ones that know how to rest together. That taking care of each other doesn't make you weak, it makes you unstoppable. She smiled as both cubs shifted closer, creating a purring, warm pile of future apex predators who would grow up knowing they were loved. And that whether they like it or not, sleep pile time is non-negotiable. Vex made a satisfied huffing sound and closed his eyes again. The galaxy's most feared predators had discovered naps. The universe would never be the same.